Hi friends, welcome to my YouTube channel SS Analysis. First of all, I would like to tell you that if you are watching this video first time, subscribe my channel to see my more upcoming videos on analysis of different commodities and equity indices. And second important thing is to watch this video till its end to understand this thoroughly to take your decision. Your one like will motivate me to be regular in working more hard for you. Let us start the day to analyze the movements of S&P 500 futures in different time frames. Friends, this is a weekly chart of S&P 500 futures where I would like to describe the influence of geopolitical moves when all the circumstances were on the positive side on US-China tariff trade war front till Thursday. Although trade teams from China and the United States were busy till Thursday to finalize the final draft for resolving the 16 months long tariff trade tussle between the two major economies of the world who were supposed to meet in December. But a sudden statement from the US President Mr. Donald Trump on Friday when he said he is not agreed to rollback of US tariff sought by China. I find this has sparked fresh bouts of suspicion where the possibilities of a successful deal on tariff trade war front looks very bleak, and I find no doubt that the Chinese action on this move may further extend the global economic slowdown fear even more. I find that this extinction of tariff trade war once again has tilted the sentiments of investors completely in the opposite direction, which had started to turn bullish. From here you can see that in a weekly chart of S&P 500 futures, we can see here the movements of S&P 500 futures. Here you can see that since August 19, 2019, we have seen a sharp upward move which is still continue. Here you can see that on every downward move we have seen a good recovery which made this uptrend intact till Friday when this sudden statement from the US President that he will not roll back tariffs came when the US equity markets were about to close, and after that announcement we have seen that the US equity indices closed flat. Move from the US President Mr. Donald Trump may extend exhaustion in not only in US equity markets, but most of the equity markets will see continuation of exhaustive moves during the upcoming week. So friends, in today's video I am going to explain about the impact of this move from the US President on tariff trade war front. Here you can see a weekly chart of S&P 500 futures where you can see that the S&P 500 futures have been constantly maintaining an uptrend since August 2019. Here you can see that this move in a weekly chart. Here you can see that S&P 500 futures were facing stiff resistance at the levels of 3027 again and again, and finally in October 2019 this stiff resistance level of 3024 has been breached and S&P 500 futures took a sharp upward move which continued till Friday. And now we will have to see that how this uptrend take a U-turn with the changing statement of US President. Now I find that we will see a sharp reversal in S&P 500 futures from Monday, and I find that a gap down opening on the first trading session of the upcoming week, S&P 500 futures will confirm the continuity of a downward trend in S&P 500 futures. So here I would like to tell you one important thing, that since a long time here you can see that the S&P 500 futures have been constantly maintaining an uptrend since February 2016, where I have constructed this uptrend zone, where on the lower end of this uptrend zone S&P 500 futures took good bounce back whenever they touched the lower end of this uptrend zone. Here you can see that when the tariff trade war tussle started between the US and the China in October 2018, S&P 500 futures broke the lower end of this uptrend zone and took a sharp downward move up to the levels of 2315, where the S&P 500 futures found a good support at 200 days moving average, and we witnessed a sharp bounce back from these levels in December 2015. 2018. Since then, the S&P 500 futures have been constantly maintaining an uptrend up to May 6, 2019, when they touched the highs of 2958. So friend, here I would like to inform you that this level of 2955 provides a stiff resistance whenever the S&P 500 futures move upward. But after crossing this level, this stiff resistance turn into a strong support. Here you can see that once again when the S&P 500 futures broke this level recently in October 2019 and moved upward up to the levels of 3096. Now here I find that any downward move from the current levels where the S&P 500 futures will find a good support at the level of 3028. Before moving downward, this level will provide a good support in case of a downward move in a weekly chart. Friends, here I would like to tell you that currently the 200 days moving average is at the levels of 2538, which is a final support level in case of a sharp downward move. But here I have constructed some strong support levels in a weekly time frame. Here you can see that these blue lines are the support and resistance levels in a weekly time frame. Here you can see that from the levels of 2875, where the S&P 500 futures found a good support when the S&P 500 futures turned downward during the month of September. We can see here at the level of 2880, S&P 500 futures found good support from these levels and bounced back. Here you can see that since October 7, 2019, we have seen a good reversal in S&P 500 futures up to the current levels. Now here I find that a gap down opening in S&P 500 futures will confirm the continuity of a downward trend where the S&P 500 futures will find an immediate support at the level of 3068. But a gap down opening below these levels will confirm the continuity of a downward move where the S&P 500 futures will find their second immediate support at the levels of 3023. But in case the S&P 500 futures break this support during the upcoming weeks, we will see that S&P 500 futures may see a sharp downward move. I would like to show you this move in a daily time frame. So in a daily time frame, here you can see that the S&P 500 futures have been constantly maintaining an uptrend. Here you can see that in a daily chart, S&P 500 futures find a good support at 200 days moving average in case of a downward move every time. As here you can see that in a steep downward move which started from May 1st, 2019, S&P 500 futures found a good support at the 200 days moving average and started to take a good reversal from these levels up to the levels of 3023, where they continued to found stiff resistance at these levels. And finally, S&P 500 futures started to move downward from July 31st, 2019. We have seen a sharp downward move in S&P 500 futures back up to the levels of 2792, where the S&P 500 futures once again found a good support at 200 days moving average. Here you can see that in a daily time frame, the 200 days moving average provides a good support in case of every downward move. But now the S&P 500 futures have successfully trading above the stiff resistance level. Here you can see that this level provides a stiff resistance in case of an upward move every time to S&P 500 futures. But since October 25th, S&P 500 futures have been constantly maintaining an uptrend till November 8, 2019. But after the announcement of US President Mr. Donald Trump that he is not going to roll back tariffs, may result in a sharp downward move in S&P 500 futures, where a gap down opening on the first trading session of the upcoming week below the levels of 3071 will confirm the continuity of a downward trend in S&P 500 futures, where the S&P 500 futures will find an immediate support here at the levels of 3046. But I find if the S&P 500 futures break this level we will see the S&P 500 futures to enter in this bearish zone which I have constructed in red color, and no doubt that once the S&P 500 futures enter in this bearish zone, we will see the S&P 500 futures to make a downward move up to the levels of 2929, where the 200 days moving average will provide good support to S&P 500 futures, where we can expect a bounce back from these levels. So friends, thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, don't forget to share this video with your more and more friends. Thank you.